Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. This is part 2 of the graham sourdough English muffins. Now I'm going to show you this. This has been rising and I did feed it last night. You see that? It's got a dry crust. Now what am I going to do with that dry crust? I'm going to do absolutely nothing with it. I'm going to stir it back in. But first we need 3 tablespoons of melted butter. We also need 2 teaspoons of salt. With sourdough, you just stir this back in, it doesn't matter. Whereas we have to, when it comes to the regular yeast that you use, that you buy in the store, you have to sit there and oil to keep it from drying out. This you don't have to, you get stirred in and brought right, and you don't waste anything. Some people have told me that they take this off and they throw it away and everything else. There's no reason. That's just waste. You're wasting a lot of food. You're going to add a cup of milk to this. Just pour it right in. Doesn't matter. Isn't this easy? We're just waiting for the butter, and then we're going to start putting this together. Now this is my 3 1/4, I think, inch cutter. Yeah, 3 1/4 inches. This is what I'm going to use to cut them out with. Let's see, do I have to put them on a greased? Yeah, we're going to have to get some cornmeal, and you're going to have to grease the sheets, but right now we have to get the butter melted. Now, according to what size you cut your English muffins is going to decide on their size. And I have my flour behind me on the table there that we made yesterday that we've been using. It has a nice sour smell to it. I know this butter's hot, and I do not want to mess my English muffins up. See, I'm stirring it, trying to let it finish melting the butter that's in there. You don't have to bring butter with everything melted. Once it gets down to a smaller piece, turn it off. It's hot enough that the rest of the butter will melt it. Now, if you have small cookie sheets, you're going to need more, because this makes a lot of English muffins. But they're so good, you know. I might even try and make Ezekiel muffins. Yeah, I'll even go there with it. Except I will make the recipe, alter it a bit so it comes out the way I want it to. Okay, now because this butter's hot and you don't want to kill your culture, here you stir it and slowly pour it in. And that way you slowly warm it up, so you don't end up killing your culture. You just warm it up. Let's see, if you pour it in like this, you kill part of the culture because you have too much heat in one area and you start killing it. going to be using all this flour. I know how messy this can get. Now, there's something I don't know if they teach it anymore. You have to pull your hair back when you cook, or you find hair in the food. That's why you always see my hair pulled completely back into the back. If you have short hair, they recommend putting a net on it. That's why just about all the time you'll find me with my hair pulled back. It's getting to the point where it's going to have to go on the counter. I do want to make Ezekiel flour, and for you people who do not have a sourdough, try making bread with it, with just yeast. I'll take one of my white bread recipes and we'll sit there and see if we can come up with an Ezekiel bread like that. It won't be as rich as the original, but it'll be nutritious. So that's something else I want to do. Now we're just kneading it now, kneading this flour in. So we have to get it to a point where we can work with it. And we'll get those pans greased and we'll sprinkle cornmeal on them. See, cooking is fun in the fact that there's so many different ways you can do things, but if you only learn a few recipes and that's all, and you keep on making it, it comes to the point where you get bored with cooking. But if you're always trying different things, you'd be surprised in different recipes. Your family's always willing to eat. Even when you get older, you still think about dishes that you said, I've never had that, let me try this. And if the recipe makes too much, you can cut it in half or fourths. Or if you wish, you could set up frozen meals for yourself for the days you don't want to cook. If you have a husband who's a hunter, oh my goodness, the meals you could come up with that. I call you lucky dogs at that point. Now we have to work all this in. We'll probably have to use some flour when we go to roll it out. But other than that, you do have to work all this flour in. And it feels gritty some. That's because of the graham flour. But don't worry about it. I want to try and make cinnamon raisin sourdough English muffins. Now, why didn't I use my discard? Because the whole thing has already got a sourdough taste, so I didn't think I needed to add it to this. And what am I making today? Cube steaks. I'm going to be doing cube steaks and salad. When my sons heard that I was making English muffins, they said, Mom, we're having cube steaks. Please make cube steaks with salad so we can enjoy those English muffins. I said, okay. They even went into the freezer to find the cube steaks to make sure they got the cube steaks. Now, while I'm greasing, well, that piece can go there. We worked it all in. Don't worry, we'll be using some flour. We're going to have to use some. Now we're going to grease and cornmeal, the sheets, cookie sheets, before I get back to this. So I'll be back when I get that stuff and we'll be talking. Okay, I got my lard out that I'm going to use. You notice I'm using it. Oh, it's a little cold. Did you know, if you have foul-smelling gas, your digestive system has food that has not been broken down, which would mean that your digestive system is not working to full capacity. The worse the smell, the worse your digestive system is. And people make fun of it, but it's a real, when you smell something like that, you know what it means. Now, what would cause that? Well, poor eating. And you say, I eat. Yes, but the thing is that your system, if you've been drinking or taking medication or illegal drugs, your system is not up to par. Like people they think, well, I drink and the next morning I have a hangover, but by the end of the day I feel great. Why don't you talk to your cells and ask them how they feel? They take a couple of days to recover. So if you're eating and stuff during that time, the food, the way you feel, not coherent, same thing is happening to your body. Those cells are drunk and they're not functioning either. And you say, oh, I'm fine when I drink. Well, when you get my age and you look like death warmed over, you know what you've done. Medication does the same thing to you. And illegal drugs do too. The cells can't function. The cells could be starving for a nutrient, and you haven't been giving it, and then you go on the medicine. And you know how they get the medicine in? If they give you the medicine just the way it is, the chemicals, the body will not accept it because it knows it's poison. The body's highly intelligent. So you know what they do with it? If this thing nothing ever clears up with me. They put salt in it. They adhere it to salt because the body needs salt. And that's how they get it into your body. But then when you take it, you have to end up going on blood pressure medication because you got too much salt in your body. That's why they tell you salt-free diet, cut back on your salt and stuff, because they're giving you salt to get the medication into your body. But if they just give you the medication and it's not natural, your body won't accept it. If they have to trick your body into taking medicine, it's not good for you in my book. No way. Give me the medication without it, and if my body accepts it, then I know it's natural. This is why a lot of people are going back to natural things. They know what's going on, and people think they're quacks. They're not quacks. They actually know what they're talking about. Now you're going to sprinkle. Let me put the top on this. I'm going to have to get more fat so I can make this. I'll show you how to make it. We have to sprinkle those pans that we just greased with cornmeal so the English muffins don't burn. They say use white cornmeal. To me, it doesn't matter. I'll use whatever I have, because I'm not going to buy white cornmeal just for this. So white or yellow, whichever one you have, just make sure it's cornmeal and not self-rising. Last thing you want is that one. Now that we've got all this flour in here, we're going to get some all-purpose and just lay it out. Because we're going to have to pat this out, and you don't want it sticking. I really anticipate these. Now remember, if I'm using whole grains and you say my muffins are brown and yours are lighter weight, it's because I sat there and used a mill and ground mine up, the whole kernel. The only thing they took off of it was the husk. And I have the germ and the bran and everything. How thick do you want these things? You want it about a 1/2 inch. They wanted me to break this in half, roll half of it out, and then the other half. Well, I just figured I'm just going to pat it out and cut out as much as I can. See, I told you, if you're angry, you could slap the dough instead of your husband or anybody who annoys you. Roll it. You want it about a 1/2 inch thick. That's what I'm working on. Can you imagine? Oh, this isn't going to fit. Come on out. I want to keep it from sticking. They want a 4-inch cutter, but I'm using a 3 1/4 inch. See? have a lot of different recipes for English muffins too, so different ways of making them. So we'll be making a lot of different ones in different ways. And you can see it's rising back up as fast as I pat it down. So they'll be big, but they're so good. This is one of my favorites, is the sourdough, but I do have other ones that are made with regular yeast. So, you know, it's not that you can't make them. But if you want them sour, you'll have to do it this way. I showed you. I think I showed you what, last summer? Okay, we'll take it from here. What I try to do is cut them out as close as I can, so I utilize as much of it as I can. Okay, let's see. I'm not going to be able to get one here. Okay. I want to work this, bring it back up. See, you can't afford to waste if you're on a budget. So it's not so much buying, this is utilizing how you're going to use everything. Oh, that's not enough to do that one. To utilize everything that you have. It's more work, but it saves you pennies. And you make your children happy, that's for dang sure. I've never seen a child, and I'm 71, and I'll be 72 very shortly, and I've never seen a child be disappointed to have their mother in the kitchen making something for them. Now you're going to put towels over these, and you're going to let them double or fluff up to a point, and they'll swell. It's actually a swelling, you see. And if your kitchen's cold, it's going to take a little longer. If your kitchen is warm, you don't have to worry. They'll be up in no time. Now there will be another part because he's saying the proof piece is going to take about 3 hours, and I'm not going to leave the phone on like that. So when they have proved, I like to say they fluff up, you can see the difference in them. We'll sit there and we'll get them baking, and we're going to have some graham sourdough English muffins. See, a lot of people, they brush their teeth, they put colognes on, and deodorants on, and makeup on. What you're trying to cover up is all of the malnutrition that you have. And the thing is that when you're young, you do it, but when you get older, you can't hide it. I mean, you can see I still have my hair color in the back, but in the front. And you can even see there, I still have it. And I'm not coloring my hair. I'm not doing anything of that. And the only thing I put on my face is oil. I do wear lipstick, okay? I have a weakness, lipstick, but I don't even wear nail polish. But the thing is that you do all of these things in the morning. You brush your teeth because you have bad breath. You gargle because you have bad breath. If you have a film on your tongue, it proves your digestive system is not working. You sit there and you color your hair and it's falling out. That's malnutrition. You sit there and women get blotches on their face, black spots. This is what you've been doing to your body. You end up with gland problems under your arms from the deodorants that you're using. You sit there and all of these problems actually come. If you smell and your urine smells horrible, then that's poisons and stuff, the chemicals that are backed up in your system and is trying to get it out through the kidneys. If you have foul-smelling gas, that's poor digestion. It all goes back to the same thing. If you eat certain foods and you blow up, your digestive system is not working 100%. You have acid reflux. That's the acid coming up here. Medication and drugs and alcohol turn your body into an acid. Once it's an acid, it can get sick and anything can happen to it. If you stay alkaline, I see women, they're shaving like they've got a beard. They shouldn't have that. That's a hormonal imbalance. Remember when I sat there and I talked about when you're young, the glands carry you till the ovaries mature and then you start your menstrual cycle. Well, that cycle goes backwards. So you should be able to go back without any problems. But if you're having these hot flashes and this and that and everything going wrong, your digestive system and your body has finally let you know payback is coming. And there is nothing you can do at that point because you have done it to the body. And the body, like my grandmother said, whatever you do to it, it's going to remember when you get older. It's called payback. So you rob Peter to pay Paul. Peter's going to get upset and you're going to be paying for stealing from Peter to give to Paul. In other words, you're sitting there and instead of buying food or getting food that's healthy for your body, you shortchange your body throughout your life. And they say, oh, this is a normal procedure of aging. This is a normal procedure of aging. In other words, you hit 40 and 50 and all of a sudden you're crippled. No. The body is supposed to live to 120 years. You're supposed to live your life up to 120 years if you are healthy. And remember, you can pop all the vitamins that you want in the world. But if your digestive system is not up and working and functioning, and you think you can eat a meal with a digestive aid and then go drinking or popping or smoking or something, even smoke, all of this you're doing to yourself, to the body that God gave you. He gave it to you. So in old age, it creeps up and it's going to slap you left and right. That's why it's very important that your children learn to eat properly and know what happens to their body if they do A, B, C, D to protect them so when they get older, they won't be sick. It's our job to give them that strong foundation and pray that they take the knowledge that we give them, that they build on it to better themselves, health-wise as well as personality-wise and mentally. So it really does rest on us a lot, those who are in the kitchen cooking, and not only our children's health, but the foundation of our country and everything rests on that. So if you shortchange them, you're shortchanging the country that you live in, and it's just a matter of time. Like you talk about generations, the same thing will happen in time, and a country will fall. So we've got a lot that rests on our shoulders, and a lot of women consider our job unimportant. They have to make their own money. You know, this is how they think, but that's not how I think. I got my freedoms a long time ago with the suffrage movement, and that was long before Jane Fonda came out. I didn't have to marry. I could have a job. I could sit there and do a lot. I wasn't property to my husband or anything else. I had my place, and it was a good place. They came along and they destroyed all that. I have had women who are doing jobs that men do, and they tell me point blank, I don't want to do this job, but equal rights. You women asked for it in the 60s, and this is what you get. And I hear them complain, and they turn to me, and if it wasn't for you, I would have a husband, I wouldn't have to work. And I said, excuse me, I was against Jane Fonda and that woman movement in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, straight through to today. I don't go with any of it. The suffragette made my life where I wasn't property, and I was cared for, and I cared for my family, and it was all a stage that we went through. And I didn't have to marry. I could do and have my life if I chose, but I chose my life, the path that I take. Always remember that. So if you complain because you're doing a man's job and you don't like it, go back to what Jane Fonda and they did in the 60s that I disagreed with, and see what the suffrage did. We had the right to vote because of them. They gave us the right to vote. They gave us the right to the job. They gave us the right that we weren't property. They gave us the right that we had a right to our lives. We had a right to run businesses. You think about that. Okay, anyway, there'll be a part 3 on this.